am here with the Twitch Latin Guild co-community specialist, El JeFenix, or Jefe, or Phoenix. Is that okay to call you any of those names?
Absolutely. All three are great. It's whatever your heart desires, and it's an honor to be here, Ed. Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate you being here just because, as I mentioned, you're a member of the Twitch Guild, and you've kind of you've taken on a leadership position, and you've been there for a little while, and so I definitely wanted to talk to you. I'm also in the Latin Guild for Twitch, and when I joined it, for lack of a better word, I grew up in a very small town in Indiana, and as you can see, if you look at me, you might think maybe Italian. And it was such a small town. I was the minority. And so I kind of grew up not really thinking of myself as a minority because I was just around a bunch of other white kids and we all hung out together and never really saw myself different. I'm not nearly as brown as my dad is. And so as I got older, I never really had that identity, I guess, because I didn't see myself different, if that makes any sense. So when I got accepted into the Latin Guild, I was kind of overwhelmed by how much it meant to me. It was kind of that affirmation of, yeah, Latin Guild, yes, and so that was a really cool moment for me. I can still remember that feeling I got. What was your story about how you entered the Twitch Latin Guild and how that came about for you?
Absolutely. So for me, I started streaming back in 2020.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the whole COVID situation, the pandemic, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
A couple of years later, they announced their first in-person gathering in 2022. That ends up being my first TwitchCon. And the reason that I throw all that in there is because at that rooftop, or at a rooftop party offsite, I met a Twitch partner by the name of Flank Thomas. He was a member of the Black Guild, of the Twitch Black Guild, and at that time, the guild program was only open to partners, and so
oh wow,
it was a partner exclusive thing, and we had a great first impression. A couple of weeks later, I hear about from him that they're going to open it up to affiliates. And I will never forget hearing him say, I believe you should apply. I believe it's going to be a great thing for you. And I think it's a perfect fit. And I was like, you know what? Thank you so much. That was one of the first instances where I would say I learned to shoot a shot that I felt I wasn't ready to shoot.
I was going to ask what you thought when he said that, if you had any hesitation on your part.
I did, but I've also come to learn a very valuable lesson, and that is from that in some instances people will believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And they might see something that you cannot see in that moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I always give so much love and praise to Flank. That's how that journey started.
And how did your gaming journey start? Did you start as a little guy gaming it up, or how did that all come about?
That's a fun one. So I grew up, I think everyone remembers their first game, right? Their first console, the things that they did. And mine started off with a Nintendo 64 and Mario Kart 64.
Oh, that's a great one to start with. Come on.
I'm Team Toad all the way. Because
Are you really?
Yeah, because he was the fastest one, in my opinion. I always felt like he was somehow faster than Mario and Luigi and Yoshi. Yeah. I was like, no, Toad's got something, So, but yeah, that's where that started. But then, to be quite honest with you, I'm not the biggest gamer. I am still to this day learning, and that's a part of my thing and reasoning why I do this. Even now, I'm 31, right? I'm in my 30s.
Yeah.
You're over 30. You should be an adult and this and that. And
Right.
right. But I use it as a way to revisit my childhood that I did not have. And so um for me it's almost like having my friends over at my house, right? And
Mm.
like whenever a live stream goes on, my friends show up and I'm like, "Hey, my friend showed up." Or, "Hey, I'm playing with my friend today."
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful to see. Some people might just see a Twitch clip and be like, "That's just a clip."
Yeah.
Right? But for me, those are moments where that is a moment that I will forever cherish with one of my friends.
Hmm.
So if we're doing collabs or if we're doing something like that,
Yeah.
for some people, it might just be a bit. It might just be a clip. It might just be a
Yeah.
30-second video. But for some people, those memories live off a lifetime.
You said something just now, and if it's something you'd rather not get into, by all means, let me know. But you said that you're reliving, recapturing the childhood you didn't have. What did you have when you were growing up?
We could absolutely get into it. I'm actually I'm an open book.
Okay. Okay.
There's no part of it that were there highs, were there lows? Yes. Were some of the lows pretty crazy? Yeah, but they made me cherish the highs that much more, right?
Yeah.
And I would me growing up, it starts at birth. I was born 2 months premature.
Hmm.
I I needed 5 surgeries to be alive and be sitting here today.
Really?
I needed 2 on my nose, or 3 on my nose, and then 2 on my intestines. Um,
Wow.
my mom still states that I came out purple. And
Wow.
instead of that traditional moment where the mother carries the child and it's crying and everyone's taking the cute pictures and this and that,
Yeah.
I was delivered and I was put on a table or on a stretcher to the emergency room to have all those surgeries performed at once.
Hmm.
I am forever thankful to the doctor that did not just delivered me, but performed all 5 surgeries,
Yeah.
because without them, I'm not here today.
Are you the oldest?
I am not. I'm actually the middle child.
Okay.
I have an older sister, and
Mm-hmm.
then I have a younger brother who's 10 years my youngest.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Do you still have any effects of those surgeries today? Or is it like you would never know what happened?
I try to make it to where you don't see, and
Yeah.
like you would think I'm normal. It's funny because one of the things that is actually, I think this is the first time I have publicly talked about this, which is fine. Love this.
Okay. Okay.
I have an abnormally large head,
Hmm.
right, as compared to other people. Um, my dad had the same issue, and
Hmm.
when I was younger, I have pictures, right, where my bot I as I grew up, it was one of my missions to go to the gym and make sure that my body looked proportionate to my head.
Really?
hmm And
Wow.
but the tough thing was, because of the surgeries, they were always like, be very careful that he doesn't lift heavy things or things like that. Another thing is I never got to play competitive sports because
Hmm.
they would never clear me in a physical.
Yeah.
They would say absolutely not. We don't want to risk any of that. And
Right.
so the abnormally large head, my mom used to call me Tweety Bird. And
Yeah.
obviously in school, the big head, Jimmy Neutron,
Oh, jeez.
right, all the
Right.
things those are all things that I kind of grew up with.
Yeah.
Going back to what I had as a child, both of my parents were immigrants. Both of my parents came from Guatemala.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
mhm. We lived out in California for the first 10 years of my life.
Mm,
My dad was a warehouse worker. The reason that I mention that now is I currently work in a warehouse.
really?
So I find it very paying homage to my old man, right?
Yeah.
But my dad worked 7 a.m. to most of the time like 2 a.m.
Wow.
The next day. I remember saying this in a previous when I won an award in college, and I that was the first time I ever said it. The only time I got to see my dad really for the majority of the first 10 years of my life was the 4 minute car ride that I got with him from home to when he dropped me off at school.
Wow.
And another thing I can share is at the age of 6, I was sat down with my dad, and he told me, I need you to be the man of the house.
Wow. At
At
6.
6 years old, I need
Wow.
I need you to, if your mom needs something, if your mom needs help with something, if there, duties around the house, etc., I need you to start completing those. Um, Very formative, right?
Yeah.
And so instead of the traditional going to play with friends, going to play video games, doing board games, like I said, I am the middle child. My little brother was 10 years my younger.
Hmm.
Um, and it was another formative moment was at the age of, I believe I was 8, about to be 9. We were up late one night. I was rocking my little baby brother to sleep. He was in his little crib, watching the news, and they announced a school shooting at the school that I was supposed to be going into just in a couple months.
Wow.
I look over to my mom and say, I'm not going to school anymore. And you can't really tell me otherwise. I've made up my mind, right? Because now that I've given the tidbits, I think it makes a little bit more sense because my dad said I was the man of the house. I could make
Hmm.
some decision, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
I see that, I make decision. That's
Right.
my decision.
I'm
And
pulling rank here. Yeah. Yeah.
like dad said I had rank, so I have rank.
Right.
Like, saying that as an 8-year-old is kind of wild.
Right.
But then after that, at the age of 9 going to 10, um, we moved to San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And my dad's like, well, we got to move somewhere. And the truck drivers were like, have you ever been to San Antonio? San Antonio's very nice, things like that. So we went to go visit. We loved it, had fun,
Yeah.
it was great. But I didn't have that traditional childhood.
Yeah.
Very much work right away, learn to be. Looking back at it, if I'm quite honest with you, it's learning to lead
Hmm.
at such a young age.
Are your parents still with us?
They are, yes.
Have you talked with your dad now as an adult, just kind of like what he was going through at that time and what it was like for him? Have you been able to have that kind of a conversation? And what was it like for you as that kid to have that responsibility? Did you find yourself resenting it? Were you like, okay, this is just how it is? Or how did you react?
That's a great one. I love these questions. These are great. Yeah. I haven't had that level of conversation with my dad
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
And it's not because I haven't tried, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, as I've grown older, I've learned how to approach those conversations, and I've
Yes.
tried to approach those conversations. I would honestly say it is very tough for me because um I have now learned that our parents, or at least in my situation, right? I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Um my parents learned how to parent me from the way that they were parented.
Sure. Yeah.
And so now as a younger child, I just didn't understand. My dad was so hard-shelled. My dad was tough, machismo. We are the hombres, and
Yeah, yeah.
and if something hard happened, no crying and things like that. But now as an adult, when I go back and piece everything together, and I hear that my grandpa never told my dad he loved him.
Yeah.
And so, okay, right, if you learn that from him, that's why you did that with me.
Right. Right.
And then I always say this, and I've said it from the beginning, and if I'm honest with you, I'm sure it breaks his heart, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I know that he understands where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I always say that my dad is not my dad. My dad is my best friend.
Wow.
Now, as I'm older, right?
Yeah.
It's hey, apa, hey, viejo, how we doing?
Hmm.
It's hey, old man, how we doing?
Yeah.
But growing up, it's like it was ¿Qué onda, pa? Like it was never really dad. It was
Hmm.
those nicknames. It was pa. It was viejo. It was ¿Qué onda? How we doing? And
Yeah.
and it was very much he's got my back and I've got his.
I've seen it in the couple of streams I've caught of yours, and even talking with you now, you have such a almost an intentional gentleness to you, and you would excuse someone for not being that way, considering what you've gone through as a kid. Where does that kind, compassionate spirit of yours come from?
It comes from the other side of this token.
Hmm.
The other part of this equation, if you will, it is my mother.
Yeah.
My mom cleaned houses for all of my childhood. So I would go to school. She'd pick me up. We wouldn't go home. We'd be going to other people's houses so she could clean their houses.
Hmm.
And she always told me, she's like, lead with love, lead with
Hmm.
compassion, be gentle.
Yeah.
My mom always says, I'll say it in Spanish. I can translate to English immediately right after. My mom says, "Te miras como tu papá, pero tienes mi corazón." You look exactly like your dad, but you have my heart, and so I'm good, right?
Yeah.
I give her full credit. Full credit.
Yeah.
Love her.
That's amazing. I love that. When you were in college, what were you studying? What did you think you were going to be when you grew up, when you were in college or in high school even?
For context, I am the first one in my family to graduate from high school and the first one to graduate from college.
Yeah.
I was told that I would be a mechanical engineer by my mom.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Did she see something in you, or did she just think that was a good job and you should do it?
Full transparency, she said, you are good at math and that job pays well. So
Yeah,
we are, and I have to include this part where she said, "That is how you'll be successful."
Hmm.
Right. I This is a story that I've shared before, but I can share it here. It was my one of the first upperclassmen classes. I believe if I remember correctly, it's Intro to Material Science or something like
Hmm.
that. Right? Something about the materials, the substances
Yeah.
made my brain hurt. Absolutely, would never forget that. But I had failed it once.
Hmm.
And the scary part about all of that was I had seen students in there who were taking it for the fourth, fifth, sixth time.
Wow.
And after the third time, you're paying out of state tuition. So
Wow.
that's a big thing, right? And
Right.
I I will always, 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 and this is where whatever your heart desires comes from,
Hmm.
is I had my college dean for engineering pull me into his office one day, and he goes, "Hey, can you come into my office? Can I want to have a conversation with you?" I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, expulsion. I'm
Right. Right.
gone. Yup. How am I going to explain this to mom without getting hit
Yeah.
with the chancla, right?" Um, I was like, "It's over. GG's, I'm cooked. Next."
Yeah.
He goes, "I have a question for you and I need you to answer quite honestly." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Do you love engineering?"
Hmm.
And without hesitation, without thinking twice, without batting an eye, I said, "Nope." He goes, "So then why are you here?" And I was like, "Well, my mom said that I'm good at math and that the job pays good. And so we need security. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing." And I, again, going back to the tidbit, my mom said I'd be successful like this. And he stopped, took his glasses off, stared down at the table, took a deep breath, and said, "Okay, I need you to envision yourself." I was 20. I was like 18, 17 at the time, 19. Couldn't have been more than 20. Um, he goes, "Can you envision your life when you're 45? Just sit there for a moment. Close your eyes. Do whatever you have to do. You're 45. Your knees hurt. You got to get out of bed. Your back hurts. You got a couple kids, maybe a wife, right? That you got to go work for. Would it be engineering?" I was like, "No." He's like, "So then what would you be doing?" I love coaching. I love inspiring. I love motivating. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I was very much into sports, even though I could not play.
Hmm.
I I was a videographer. I was a team manager. I wanted to be around the team ambiance, right?
Right.
And he goes, "Okay, I know exactly what you're gonna go do." I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "Oh well, all right, cool." Another authority figure is telling me where I'm gonna go. Cool. All right, cool. Like,
Hmm.
but and then he goes, "Well, you're gonna go to the registrar's office. You're gonna go change your major to kinesiology, and you're gonna graduate. And then you're gonna go live your life." And he's like, "Because I need you to know this." He's like, "You live in America where there's 100 million different ways to be successful." And I intentionally paused there so we can let that sink in,
Yeah.
that you don't have to live the life that is dictated for you. You can very much choose to live the life that your heart desires, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and so he followed it up. I remember I told him, I was like, "Well, so by the way, just little thing, little thing. Who's gonna explain this to my mom?" And who's gonna take the bell whooping and the chancla and everything? He goes, oh, don't worry. He handed me his card. He said, if your mom has a problem with it, let me know. Tell her to give me a call. I'll get a translator, and we have no problems here.
Mm.
In that moment, he was standing up for, right? He was standing up for me. I just didn't realize that.
Right.
And so I go change my major. I go from a struggling mid 2 point something GPA in one of the toughest engineering programs in the nation to A's and B's over 3.0 GPA for the final tiers of my college career. And I end up being the second person in my school's history to win the President's Award. And so I'm very honored by that.
Wow.
Yeah, that was huge.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so what happened between that and what made you decide to start streaming video games?
Interesting. Back in 2018 in college, I watched a lot of Summit 1G. I watched a lot of his fails, compilations, funny moments, and they got me through a lot of tough times. He made me laugh. He made me obviously he had those inspirational moments, et cetera, et cetera. But that's where I started saying, I wish and hope that someday I can do that for somebody else, right? And I hope that somebody says, I lived what my heart desires because of you, or I chose my own way. I paved my own way. If I can do that for somebody else the way that it was done for me, that's all I ever want to do, because I've had countless amounts of people help me along this journey. I've really done this myself. There have been people that have stood up for me when I didn't know I needed to stand up. There are people that believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. There were moments there where another tidbit, there were about 3 to 4 months there in my college career where I lived off a little snack pantry box of like snack size bag of chips, 1 or 2 bags a day. And that's all I had for food. And so, countless adversities, but at the same side, on the other side of that token, countless amount of people who helped get me here to where I am today.
So, gosh, one thing I would love to hear your input on. It's easy to look back now and see, okay, I had to go through this and this in order for this and this to happen. And you can kind of see a path. How do you deal with when you're in the middle of the struggle and you can't see the path? How do you get past that struggle while you're in the middle of it? Is it easy for you to say, I know this will help me? Or is it easy for you to be overwhelmed, or what do you do in those tough situations?
It's interesting. I'm now where I am. I'm learning that you need to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. I remember going on a retreat, and they mentioned at the end of the retreat, hey, we'll have our spiritual directors and things like that available for 15-minute sessions. If you'd like to sign up, I was the first one to sign up. Went into the room and sat, and gentleman comes in, and I go, WTF, what is this? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, why does life feel like it's going 100 miles a minute? Not an hour, a minute. And he goes, oh, he chuckles, and goes, I know why. And I was like, huh? Please enlighten me. Please show me. What?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Okay, you ready for it?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "What if your life is being pushed to 100 miles a minute, so 80 feels easy?"
Hmm.
And
Wow.
uh-huh. And so at that moment in my life, I felt like I was going eight or 100, right?
Hmm.
And he goes, "Let me tell you something. Over the course of your life, you're gonna have decisions where you either stay at the 100 or then you go to 120 so the 100 feels easy. And then you go to the 140 so the 120 feels easy."
Hmm.
Um he says, "But you have the decision at the end of the day of how fast, right, you go. How
Yeah.
far are you willing to push it?" He goes, "You just need to be able to trust that you can try 160 and you can try 180 if you so desire."
Yeah.
And um so now, right, I think years ago I would have been like, "Oh my gosh, why is all of this bad stuff happening to me?" And now
Mm.
I'm like, "Oh, thank you. Cool. Yeah. Like, please, let's go fail.
Yeah.
Let's go learn.
Wow.
Let's go." Like, the shift has happened, right? But
Yeah.
also at the same time, now, over the course of repeated exercising, repeated trying out, learning programs, self
Yeah.
care, self knowledge, I've learned to, if I can be going 80 at some points. At sometimes I'm going 110. Sometimes I'm going 140. Then I'm like, okay, look, we got to slow it down here. When do we speed up and things like that? But not, I think it's learning that there is a reason why you are being put in that uncomfortable situation, even if you don't know it right at that instance.
Man, there's so many nuggets of wisdom and inspiration. I want a T-shirt that just says "Let's go fail." I want that on a shirt. Shifting gears a little bit to the Twitch Latin Guild, and I remember when I first became a member and I was excited, and people, friends were excited for me because they were friends, and then they said the tough question, what does it do? Like, what is the Latin Guild for? And I was like, I will get back to you on that. So for people who wonder, what is the guild for? Why is it here?
I think the best explanation I can give is the one that was given to me, and that is, it is an opportunity for all of these groups to have a seat at the table. Um, it is an opportunity for creators to come together and meet other creators like themselves. Obviously, that is my personal opinion of what the program is. I speak for myself completely in this
Yeah.
situation, right? Um, but it like, I want people to find their familia, and
Mm,
I want to help foster a sense of familia. Um,
yeah.
and those are my missions in that whole thing. Um, but I'm forever thankful to Twitch and to um, everyone involved. It's such a blessing to be able to be there for everyone and anyone who is in there.
Yeah.
Um, you know, very, very grateful for this opportunity.
When the opportunity came up for you to step up into a leader position, was your first instinct, yes, I want to do that, or was it a hesitant? I don't know. Did somebody else? How did you even approaching that opportunity come up?
That one hasn't been talked about anywhere. That's a good one. Again, obviously, in this whole context, I'm always going to preface with this is my journey. This is
Yeah,
me,
yeah, yeah.
right? Um, but I did have friends in the guild who reached out and were like, "You're going to apply, right?" And I was like, "Huh?" Um,
Yeah.
I was me. Yeah. What do you mean? I there's one there's one person in specific that always comes to mind.
Hmm.
She was one of those. You better apply or else. Like I'm not like it needs to be you. And I was like,
Hmm.
me?
So before these people had said anything, did you even consider it? Like, had it really dawned on you to try
Or
to go for it?
I had a Twitch partner who I'm very good, another good friend with. She is wonderful, amazing human being. Love her to death. She looks for me at the Unity Guild Lounge
Mm-hmm.
and says, "Hey, I need to talk to you." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh, well, here we go, in trouble again." No, I'm kidding.
Right.
But she pulls me aside with her lead moderator, and they say, "We've been looking for you this whole convention, and I needed to tell you that I'm forever grateful for you stepping up and speaking for the voices that did not feel strong enough to say something out loud." From
Mm.
there, that moment right there, I realized that even if I wasn't ready to be a leader, it was time to lead.
Hmm.
I wasn't ready by any sense of the word. To be honest with you, I never see myself as a leader. I don't think any leader really sees themselves as a leader.
Well, when you said that you were not, for lack of a better word, qualified to lead, it's kind of funny because talking with you tonight and hearing your story, you were so qualified to lead from everything that you've done. From 6 years old on, you got to be the man of the house. You have led, and so it's so cool to see that it's not that you weren't qualified to lead, you just didn't feel like you might have been, but you definitely were. Like, it's so cool to kind of see that picture all come together, and that recognition. Like, for me as an audience member, you're saying, no, of course you are. You've been through all of this. Of course you're a natural leader. You're born to lead. So it's just kind of cool to listen to your story and root for you, but it's not a story. It's your story. It's a true story. So it's just really, really cool to see our hero kind of, come up and do what he does best. It's really, really cool to see.
It Thank you first and foremost. I think, I I guess I see it from a perspective of I'm my own worst critic, right?
Right, right.
And I think everyone is to an extent.
Yeah.
But I've also, it's funny. You reminded me of something that I always say. Um, one of my main missions is to show that Si Se Puede is still alive and well.
Hmm.
And I guess I've always looked at it that way, right?
Hmm.
Is Si Se Puede still alive and well? Listen, I started where you're at. I I probably had, like going back. So going back to the college part, I was chosen as an orientation leader.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they did a thing where it was called a privilege walk. If you haven't heard of it, I highly recommend you go look one up and you go answer the questions and you see where you're at. Because it was a set of, I believe, 30 questions, might be more. Can't remember exact number. But if you had this, step forward. If you
Hmm.
didn't have this, step back, right? Or take the step back or stay where you're at.
Yeah.
Long story short, at the end of that exercise, my back was against the wall,
Hmm.
quite literally. And the moment that my back hit the wall, I could not stop crying
Hmm.
because literally there was only one person that was at the same level as me, and that ended up being my partner in the orientation leading program, right? And but I remember seeing people on the other side of the room, and I sat there, or I stood there crying, bawling my eyes out. The first thought that I had in my head was, why am I in this room again?
Hmm.
Do I deserve to be in this room again?
Yeah.
I could walk out right now. Ain't no way, right? They said, no, that's exactly why you're here.
Hmm.
What do you mean? What? Me? Here? Because of this? Because of my back against the wall and like everything I've gone through? Yes. That doesn't make sense. Because we're going to have kids like you that walk through the campus, and we need your perspective for those kids so they feel welcome and they feel ready to be here.
Hmm.
Oh, they said, we need you to know that you are going to help guide some kids that don't feel like they should be here.
Hmm.
And that ended up being my mission,
Yeah.
was because I ended up finding kids that I shouldn't be here. This isn't for
Hmm.
me. I'm
Yeah.
not good enough. I look again, open book, right? I know we've all had those thoughts.
Right.
We've
Right.
all been like, I don't know, Chief.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm here to say that there are people in this world that will be there for you, will help you along the way, will give you a helping hand, and will see things in you that you may not see in yourself. And those
Yeah.
are your people in life.
Yeah. Man, I love that so much. Good night. Gosh, that's a good word, dude. That's a really good word. Dude, thank you so much for chatting and spending some time to talk with, and man, I feel encouraged. I feel so many of the good words right now. So thank you so much for sharing.
I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here. Thank you. It's truly an honor to be here. Thank you so much.